It's Reeb CS here back here. I just want to talk about again more stuff that's going on in the UAE and really the whole Gulf, right? Here's their local news, one of their local news publications, and they're talking about how the distance learning is still in place in the UAE and it's not going to return just yet. They're still reviewing them. And if you think about the situation, it sounds kind of eerily familiar in terms of COVID, right? We all went through that. And I think this really shows, how we have to be prepared for the unknown, right? There could be the next pandemic or whatever happens. We should be prepared in our life, in our business, in our job, and especially for education, whether it's for grade school kids or people in post-secondary. I think everywhere should be ready on a moment's notice to pivot to online learning, obviously for things that can be. In the case of the UAE, of course, though, it's a matter of national security and safety. And so some of the institutions have applied. For example, I think GEMS are one of the more famous and larger international schools. They've applied along with one called Talim, and they just haven't received that permission. And some are trying to go back as early as, well, pretty much right now, March 30th, and none have been granted. And I really think that's the right way to go. I mean, the government's saying that they're going to review everything on a case-by-case basis, and they essentially will not allow in-person learning to continue or resume until they're confident that it's safe enough, right? They're looking at the well-being of students and staff, and I think that's really a great way for them to go about it. And once again, maybe I'll just end this off with a little plug for myself. I do think for a lot of the learning, right, that it should be and can be done online. And even if it's not done online all the time, there should be an online component where people aren't scrambling, where your school or institution doesn't have to scramble like during COVID and say we have to be online. And the final thing I'll leave it off here with is that I think online works fine as long as you have competent staff and students at the institution. And it's not so much really the students, but the staff has to be, able to use the right tools. And I think a lot of times where the online learning may not go well is if the wrong tools are being used. Like, the final thing I'll say is that I don't think the Microsoft solution is one that kids should be using. I see my own kids using it. They're using Teams. Teams is for workplace meetings, maybe sharing a few files. It's just chaos to use that. You really should be using a purpose-built LMS, whether that's something like a lot of us use called D2L, commercial solution. My companies, they tend to use something called Moodle. It's basically the open source version, but it's well suited for education and it's easy to follow for the students. And I think as long as places are doing that, then online learning goes well. It just opens up the possibility. And anyway, guys, that's just what I wanted to show you. Until then, take care, and thanks for watching, guys.